So in me, there are two moments. It depends. And, sometimes you say, well, God, do with me whatever you want. Sometimes what comes out will be the English side of me. And sometimes, as it happened at the beginning of the Mass, will be the Spanish side of me. I have no control. Whatever the Lord wants. So I'm going to ask you a question this morning. I hope you answer correctly. Do we all agree there is a global crisis? It's what the politician says. You hear it over the news. Do you believe there is a global crisis? There is a global crisis, right? So that's what we call things fall apart. That means things are no longer how it used to be, right? And also here in the United States, you also believe there is a national crisis as well. There is no, I don't think about those, we're not talking about fight like Syria. Do you believe there is a crisis going on? Mr. Dike, Mr. Dike said no, he doesn't agree. Well, that's your personal opinion, right? Okay, good. So those of you who believe there is a global crisis, what do you consider to be the crisis that most people are facing in the world today? Let me ask these young people. I always want hope because all of us who are old, we are already leaving this place for you people. So that you should be worried. What do you consider is the global crisis? You are very educated, I know. What do you consider as the global crisis? Don't say anything in your mind. You don't have to be right or wrong. Say it's already in your mind. Say whatever. What do you think, sir? No idea? Hunger? Okay. Homelessness. Yeah, I mean, you have it already. I want you just to say it out. Come on. It's not like you're going to pay me extra for saying it. And if you want to, it's still okay. Sister Olivia, what do you think that is the global crisis that a lot of people are facing today? Everybody is talking about it. Economy. Okay. War. Okay. Yes, I'm coming right now. Bad government. Yes, sir.
The crisis for their souls.
The crisis for the souls. Okay. Loss of souls, Okay, agree with you. What are the young people again? Yes, sir. What do you consider is the global crisis, national crisis? Hatred. Okay. Injustice. Okay.
Lack of joy.
Lack of what? So, what do you think, sir? What's the global crisis?
War and peace.
War and peace. Are these young people at the back, what do you think? Loss of weight. Faith, okay. So anything in your mind? Do you know what we are talking about?
Yeah, definitely.
The global crisis, right?
Yeah.
Are you not in this part of the town? I mean, you are in the world, so how is it that it doesn't affect you?
It does.
It does? You don't really know. Yes, sir, go over. Moral crisis. Okay. Mr. Ray, what do you think? Homelessness. Yeah. It's always good to hear what you have to say. It's not like everything that you said is wrong, but we want to put it in perspective, right? So it's not just the crisis of economy that all of us should be worried about. It's not because we do not have enough to eat in this country. Actually, people are dying because of what they eat, not because they don't have something to eat. It's because they eat too much. The crisis that is facing the whole world today, and more, if we have to put it in our own context in the United States, is the crisis of joy. Lack of joy. Somebody said it there. I don't know whether he heard it from the other masses, right? So that's why I didn't want to rescind what he said, but he was correct anyway. So a crisis of joy. So you think in the world today that the more people have, the more unhappy they are. Have you seen what's going on in the streets? Just check it out. It's not because we do not have enough. Actually, because we think it's by accumulating and accumulating Then the more we accumulate, the more we feel empty. The more unhappy people are. Do you know how many people who slept in the mansion tonight but they couldn't sleep? They have the best bed, but they struggle to sleep. The crisis of joy. So before you mistake joy with happiness, joy and happiness is not the same. Actually, that is where the problem lies. Because today we live in a society that talks about having fun. Go and have fun. Everything is all about fun and happiness. There is nothing about happiness. Actually, the problem is that it does not last. You know, people go for the best vacation. They buy the best dress. They buy the wig or whatever people call it that is in vogue. And the happiness of that lasts only for a while. And then it goes away. It does not. So it is only joy, which is not as a result of something that happened outside of us. Joy is a gift inside of us. And that is the gift of God. And that is what the first reading talks about today. Be joyful. Why? Because the Holy One, the one in your midst, is the Holy One of Israel. So the only one that brings joy, the only time that we recognize joy is an awareness of deep presence of God within you. You cannot have joy unless you experience a deep awareness of the presence of God within you. Not this idea of emotion that people think about emotion, the how I feel. Joy is not just about a feeling. It's a deep understanding. It's a deep awareness. It's like an awareness that dawns within you. Even in the second reading today, think about Paul. When Paul wrote the second reading that we read today, he was in the prison. But he was joyful. And he was in the prison talking to the people who were not in prison and said, be joyful. Again, I say it to you, rejoice. So it's not about joy. Even in the midst of pain, one can still have joy. Because not external pressure cannot limit, it cannot take away that joy is a new dawning, is a new awareness of a presence who walks with you, the presence of God. And the responsorial psalm today made it very clear. Shout for joy. For the one in your midst is the Holy One of Israel. And that is what Christmas is all about. Christmas is a recognition, the time we Christians recognize as we celebrate Emmanuel, God within us, God among us. And that is the joy. The joy of Christmas is not limited to the material things that you bought newly. It's not limited to the new wig that you bought, not to the new dress, but the one who comes to live among us. And somebody told me, Father, I can't afford Christmas this year. What do you mean by that? Affording Christmas? The joy of Christmas is not limited on what you can afford. It's a free gift of God because it is the presence of Christ among us. So a Christmas without Christ in it is crisis. Christmas, the celebration that many of us, we're going to celebrate. If Christ is not in your own Christmas, it's all about crisis. Because every other thing that you're going to experience is going to quickly go away. And you feel empty again. But when your own Christmas has Christ in it, it brings you joy. It brings you joy. And when there is joy, there is no anxiety. Think about it. The level of anxiety that is rising in America today, everybody is so anxious about everything. It looks like there is a fire in our stomach. Because we think the more we gather things, stuff, the more our life will be fulfilled. And we discover the more we gather stuff, the more wanting we want, the more you need more. That insatiability Christmas, the joy that Christmas brings is only when Christ is encountered in your soul. You can never have the best Christmas ever unless Christ, you encounter him in your soul and you recognize the presence of Christ. And when you have Christ within you, you are okay. And you can even go home, get the old dress, put it on the washer and dryer, and put it on, and begin to walk like this. She is always joyful. Look at her. She was wearing the old dress of last year. It doesn't matter. Because what brings joy to you is not limited to what you wear. It's about who dwells within you. When Christ dwells within you, you have the joy. And that joy is unquenchable. And people who do not have Christ, they keep buying. They think that it's all about buying and buying. No, I have no problem with you buying things. But let's just be honest about the celebration. You can still celebrate with the little you have. And you must be content with what you have. You don't have to be having a sleepless night because you didn't get what you want. It's still okay. Wash the old dress and put it on. And be joyful if Christ lives within you. And the people in the gospel reading today, they came to John the Baptist and they said, what shall we do? And I know that such a question can as well resound in the mind of each and every one of us today. Have you been the place where you feel like something is missing? You know something is missing. You feel so tensed up. You're always anxious, but you can't say what it is. At some point in your life, you have been in a place, it looks like you have everything, but in the midst of everything you have, you feel like something is still missing. What is that? Have you ever asked God, what is it? Even in the midst of all this I have. And you see one poor person who doesn't even have all. He or she still has joy. And those who have more. And now you understand that poverty is not just only limited to material gifts. Actually, the one who should be pitiable is the one who has no Christ. A Christmas that has no meaning is the one that has no Christ in it. When Christ dwells within your heart, you will live a life filled with contentment. You will be okay. You will be okay. But when Christ is not there, the anxiety, as Paul reminded us today, do not allow anxiety to hijack your life. Anxiety has hijacked most of us. Very anxious. Rise early in the morning, bothering yourself, worried, till sleepless nights. All true. Worried about what? What are you worried about? Because you feel left out. That is what anxiety does. The feeling of missing out. Something is missing. But not having what matters is truly missing out. And John the Baptist reminded the people, be okay with what you have. Actually, when you have joy, to share even the little you have with others will not be a problem. When you have joy, no matter how little you have, you will always be willing to give little to others. But when you have no joy, even the more you have, you can't even share it with them because well, it's not enough. It's not enough for me because I need more. I think that the more I have, then my life will be satisfied. Let me tell you the truth. The only one that can satisfy your life is God. Actually, the crisis, the global crisis that we have in America today is because we have turned our back to God. We have no time for God. Because the society says, well, go after it. Go after all you can. Grab as many things as you can. The more we go, following the recommendation of the society, the more broken we become. We are broken today because we have failed to listen to the voice of God. We are broken because we only follow the voice of the society. And we feel like our life is in competition with anybody. You are never in competition with anyone. Slow it down. Find your place in God. When you have God and you recognize the presence of God in you, I'm telling you the truth, your life will begin to have meaning. Because as God is the only one that makes the shift. And you can sleep at night. You have no reason. Some people have to be on pills in order to sleep at night. Because the level of anxiety is so high. And that's the question to you. What do you think that is missing in your life? Do you think truly that you have joy? I'm not asking whether you have fun. I'm asking you, do you think that you have joy? And if you do not, do you think you know what is missing? And if you know what is missing that causes you not to have joy, what are you going to do about it? As you walk into this celebration of Christmas, I want you never ever to celebrate any Christmas that has no Christ in it. Find time and find Christ in your celebration. And that will be the best thing that will happen to each and every one of us during this Christmas season. Do not go after the world. Do not follow the world the way they do things. Do something because you are a child of God and that you have an understanding. And in case, if you have a lot of anxiety upon your life, 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7 says, cast all your worries on the Lord because he cares for you. Cast all your worries. Whatever it is that is bothering your soul, put it on God. You will be fine. You will be fine. Do not fill that particular spot that is, that is meant for God with stuff. If you feel that particular spot that only God needs to, to position himself in that spot, and you try to fill it with material things, then you become very anxious and desperate. To have God is to have joy. And St. Paul asks us today, rejoice always, because the Holy One of Israel is the one in your midst. So we pray for that grace, dear brothers and sisters, as we are entering into this very close to the celebration. I want you to position your Christmas. Make sure that this is a time of encounter for you. Make sure that you do not celebrate Christmas as an ignorant Christian. There are many ignorant Catholics who are out there who do not even understand what the season is all about. Do not be deceived, because God cannot be mocked. The Bible says those who seek him will find him. Seek him today. Tell the Lord, be honest with God even once in your lifetime, and say, truly, Lord, something is missing. Sometimes I feel empty within me. But I want you to come today and help me out. Let that be your prayer. And I promise you, your life will never remain the same again.